now live on Facebook. Hello, Facebook. Hello, coach community. Good afternoon. And this afternoon, I'm very happy to have with me Tomas. Now, Tomas is, a big advocate. His message and his philosophy is okay is not enough. And today we're going to dig into more of that. And you can hear from him as to why it's not enough and what you can do to get more than just okay. So Tomas is a professional life coach, speaker, award-winning entrepreneur and NLP practitioner. He featured in the April edition of Coach. And if you haven't read his article yet, please do go and read it because it's really, really interesting. And it's a great topic to dig into any day of the week. So welcome, Tomas. How are you?
Hey, Teresa, great to be here. I'm doing awesome.
Good, good. We just had a really good chat, actually, about how life hasn't changed too much for us coaches who work online, literally with our laptops in the same space all day. And in fact, we were joking that it's made us realise how little we actually go out.
Yeah, definitely me, yeah.
The business as usual. So let's talk about okay, because it's a word that we use a lot. But yeah, it's okay, I'm okay, you're okay. It's very generic, but it's also part of the philosophy that you kind of have around that word is that it's just too average. It's just that medium comfort spot, isn't it? So let's talk about that to start with, what that means to you and how you created this philosophy.
Sure, totally. So let me give you a little bit of an intro into all the listeners about or into the okay is not enough philosophy or model, so to speak. So if you imagine sort of a cake of 3 layers, in the middle, that's the okay zone. That's where we can be. We can be in any of those sort of levels or layers in life. On the top, I call it the winning zone. That's when life is amazing, when you're fulfilled and it's exciting and you're crushing it and you do the things that you want when you think, oh my God, I can't believe this is my life. So in the middle is the okay zone, and the bottom is, I call it the rut. That's when life is not going great. That's when things get serious, when maybe people are made redundant, maybe when they have some health scares and things like that. And so what's really important about that is we have innate drive to avoid pain. And it's what's really a fear of death. And so when we are in the okay zone and things get worse, let's say doctor starts, hey, listen, there's you have much higher chance of heart attack, things become serious. There's this threat hanging. Sometimes it's immediate pain or discomfort. Sometimes it's a little bit more in the future. But when the discomfort or pain, whether physical or emotional, becomes greater than the discomfort of the action we would need to take, such as exercising, eating well, and so on, then we take the action because it's the path of least resistance. And anything in the world, really in the universe, is always trying to find the path of least resistance. And so what happens that we get into the rut and then we think, oh my God, I got to do something about this. When the pain is too great, we don't even think about whether you feel like or not doing something about it. So we put in the work and we get into the okay zone where we got out of the funk, we got out of the rut, the threat or the danger or discomfort or pain is no longer there or not as intense. And that's why people usually relax because life is okay. You're not in pain. And again, that's the path of least resistance. Because being on the top, being winning, you have to put in extra work. You have to sacrifice, you have to focus. And that's an extra. It's not a must. Getting out of pain, it's a must. We have innate drive to do that, almost urge or compulsion to do that. To have amazing life, whatever that means, being fit, being wealthy, having 7 children or 5 dogs, whatever that means to people. If it's out of ordinary, we are not sort of drawn to that naturally. We would want to have it, but it's not a must, right? And so that's why people tend to relax and tend to get stuck in the okay zone. And actually at the bottom part of the okay zone is, I call it the zone of tolerable discomfort. That's when life sucks, when people are not happy, but it's not bad enough to do something about it.
Yeah.
And the problem of the okay zone, why I believe that okay is not enough, even though it's comfortable, even though it's okay, it's rarely fulfilling and it's rarely truly happy. And people usually have the feeling of, yeah, this is okay, but I feel like I could do better. I feel there's more in me. I feel like I have potential to achieve more. And we can ignore it for a lifetime, but I believe there comes a time where we have to reconcile with ourselves, and that's when people often regret that, looking back, thinking, man, why didn't I put the time in? Why didn't I try harder? Why didn't I have the courage to start the business or
and then they wish for it. I wish I'd done this. I wish I'd done that. And it's interesting because, you know, we know that we're just hardwired for survival, basically, and the brain doesn't understand all this great stuff that we can do and all of this. It just wants to keep us safe. So, you know, that pain trigger, it does have to be like really painful before many people will just take an action and tip over that brink of it, really. And it's interesting that you talk about the cake analogy, because people often talk about the icing on the cake. So life is good, and that would just be the icing on the cake. So they see it as a treat, you know, like that would be really good. But we don't have to have icing on the cake. You know, the cake's all right. It's nice cake. And so it's that comfort zone. And however you talk about the comfort zone, different coaches have different language for it. It's just where you feel okay and you know what you're doing. You've got some confidence. You're just like not trying anything different. Let's just stay where we are. And of course, from where I'm standing, that doesn't give you an awful lot of wiggle room, does it? If things get bad and they go down and down and down, because then you're nearer to the bottom already. So striving and thriving for more than just survival is really, really key, not only just for financial success and the success that people class and describe as their own success, but also just for your fulfillment in life, you know, and being happier, because I'm sure you'll notice that a lot of people will come to you and it says in the article, they go, it's okay in that, but I'm just not happy, you know. So happy and okay, how do those two go together? Because it seems to be that if you're just okay, that doesn't really go with happy. It's just okay.
So I think okay is comfortable. That's the thing. It's comfortable and it feels safe. That's the thing. And we have, you know, I studied evolutionary psychology and behavioral psychology, and we are drawn to safety because that's the best survival strategy, right? Over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution. That's why we're here, because our ancestors, you know, yours, mine, in the chain, because they didn't do anything risky, stupid. They didn't do anything, you know, too crazy that would end that branch of our family tree, right? That's why we're here. So we are, the instinct has evolved over, you know, hundreds of thousands of years. And that's why we feel uncomfortable to step outside of the comfort zone.
Yeah.
And if we feel, you know, it's like sitting on the sofa and yeah, of course it feels comfortable. It may feel happy, and that's fine. Hey, if someone is happy with being okay, man, good on them. More power to them. Great, amazing. Though if they feel like, you know, I wish I could have that. I think I could do more. And we know when there's more in us.
Yeah.
Right? And I just think that, you know, the bottom line in life is our emotional experience and how we feel about ourselves and how we contributing to all this. And I believe that when people try to get the best out of themselves, not only they are way happier with who they are and more fulfilled. And interestingly, it's not always related to the results. Right? It's just them knowing that they're trying their best. Right? That's very rewarding feeling. But I think when we are being the best version of ourselves, or the, you know, closest to it, I think the world is a better place and everyone is benefiting from it. And
there's so much more that goes along with that you learn along the way from really trying to be, you know, what we've described as the best version of yourself. And I do think it's really interesting that it's the pain thing for me, really. It's like, you know, people that want to wait until it's really painful, until they've got no money, until it's like, what do they think is going to happen that's going to rescue them? So they're quite, you know, it's quite a disempowered place to be, isn't it? Okay zone. And it's a place that allows a lot of space for you to, you know, tell yourself off, allow the inner critic to rant on all day, and I should have done this, and why am I doing that? Oh, I'm just a failure. So in there's lots of confidence pieces and lots of self-worth issues and things like that as well. So what are the first steps that people can take if they, that thing, and they think, well, my business is okay, for instance, it's just all right, it's doing okay. I know I could probably do more, but it's a bit uncomfortable for me to go there. Obviously, that's around fear. So when your clients come to you in that sort of state, where do you first start taking them?
Yeah, so I wanted to add something as you were speaking. You reminded me of something. I went for a run this morning, and I was thinking about our talk, our video, and I was thinking about as I do about this okay and all this stuff, and very often people ask me, why do you work so hard? I do work a lot. I love working. I love being busy and being productive, and it's not being in the winning zone, not being okay, not settling for okay. It's not about having, it's about being. And the reason why I work the way I do and I push myself the way I do with all the goals and things like that, it's because I love who I am when I'm that kind of person.
Yes.
And a long time ago, a client asked me the same question, why do you work so hard? And what I answered was, it's because then no one can say beep, especially my inner critic. Then my inner critic has nothing on me. As long as I know that I tried my best, that's the worst feeling when you think, when you cut some corners or you didn't try your best, and whether it's kind of exam or performance, whatever that might be.
You've done that as
and
well.
You just,
yeah.
When you have to beat yourself up, why didn't I? And this is what I've been developing on myself, with myself for years now, is just always giving it my best. And interestingly, the result is it's not as relevant, it's not as important, because if I'm giving it my best and this is what I got, well, that's just what was in me, right?
Yeah.
And so that links.
That bit's going to follow, isn't it? But you're going to feel good. And I think this is why sometimes people make a lot of money. So they might have that, what we might describe as measurable success. I can see your success. But I can never feel your success. Only you can feel that. So when you're fulfilled and that follows, and you're going to be such a better guy to be around, a better person, better coach, better friend, rather than the moany groany, always trotting out the problems, which is of course what people sitting in the okay zone will most likely do, because things are, it's okay, but this, but that. So then you're that person, and that person isn't really much fun to be around. So it all makes sense. That's really interesting.
And when you know that you've tried your best, you can be content with, like, you've tried your best. This is the result. It is what it is. But actually, I'll link it back to your question. What can people do? When can they start with this? So the first thing I do with many people, if you take a sheet of paper and you have, what would it be, like a part on it is separated into 3 sections: the top and middle and the bottom. The top is the winning zone, the middle is the okay, the bottom is the right. And I would say, think about the area of your life that you want to do something about. They can do holistically, like analyze their whole life, but I would say it's better to separate maybe career and relationships and health and things like that. But let's say their business, and think about who would I need to be? How would I act? What would the business look like or need to look like for me to feel like I'm winning? And write it in the top section, in the winning part. The next question is, when would I feel, or what would it have to look like, or how would I need to act for me to feel like I'm in a rut? Like I'm unbearable pain. It's just like when it hit the fan. Oh, I don't know, not getting up, not sending emails to clients, whatever that might be. Like, write it all in that section, and then filling in what's the okay zone. How am I? That's usually more the present point. How am I? What does the business look like? How many sales I'm making? And that. So when I'm in the okay zone, and so the awareness is a great place to start, because just understanding. Okay, so for me to feel like a winner, to not be okay, this is how I need to be. This is how I need to perform. The okay zone, whatever is in there, it's almost the indicator of, ooh, when I'm like this, I'm being okay. If you don't want to be okay, if you want to be better, you need to stop doing the things that make you okay. Right? And obviously the rut, for most people, what I suggest is it has a threshold, right? The bottom line. What would it look like if we raise the threshold? So let's say with business, someone is making $5,000 a month and they're happy with that. They know that they could do a lot more, but 5K, it's fine for them. It's okay, it feels good. And but if they start making 2K, that's when they're barely making the mortgage, they barely have money for food. That's where they're just getting by. This is the threshold where usually the pain would kick in. They would start panicking. Okay, I have to do something. I have to pick up the phone. I have to push harder. I have to, learn more about marketing. It's because the pain becomes too great, and it's way greater than studying marketing or picking up the phone. So one thing we need to do is to raise the threshold of what's acceptable, because we get used to things very quickly. It's one of the amazing abilities of living things, not just humans, is we adapt to pretty much anything fairly quickly. One of my clients was a billionaire, and he didn't feel like he's doing that great financially. I'm like, come on, right? He just several cars and several properties and things like that, and it didn't feel special to him, right? Sometimes
special. It's interesting, isn't it? Just what we were talking about.
Yeah.
He's not experiencing that special. He's still got gaps. It's not just about that. Yeah.
And mind you, 20 years or 15 years before that, he was broke, right?
Right.
And so sometimes you see people, sitting on the streets, and I happen to, have a conversation with several of them, and many of them told me, it's just like, this is what it is, and I could see they got used to it. Like it is what it is. It became their comfort zone.
Yeah.
Right? So we do get used to, or we adapt to new standards. So if let's say with a business, when someone is making 5K and it's okay for them, 10K would feel amazing. If they start making 10K, a few times they make 10K, all of a sudden when they make 5K again, it would feel, ooh, it's a little bit uncomfortable. Like
sliding, rolling, sliding, moving, shifting.
Exactly. When you start leveling up, you're shifting the comfort zone higher and higher and higher. So that's one thing that I do with people where we start usually, is to identify, who are you, or who would you need to be when you're a winner?
It's a great exercise.
What is it like when you're okay?
Write stuff down as well, to see it, because sometimes we feel it, we think it, but when it comes out and we look, suddenly that visual is very powerful for a lot of people. What's interesting to me there is that I bet nobody would struggle to write the top bit. So like, it doesn't matter where you are, you're not going to go, I don't really know what it's like to, what would I be if I was, I know, right? So we put it, we go 20, 30, 50 grand if it's money, or XXX if it's family or whatever. We know what's in that winning zone. A lot of the time, I imagine the gap is we just don't believe we could get to it. It is just the icing on the cake. That would be lovely. But nobody's going to sit and think too hard about filling in those sections, because that just shows you we know we've got it all, and that's why we need coaching. That's why we need coaches, isn't it?
Totally. And sometimes people misunderstand a little bit, like, okay, it's not enough. It's okay to have an okay house. It's okay to have an okay. Yeah, it is. It's fine. I'm not judging that. The okay is not enough is, as I said, it's not that much about having. So when they write, I would like to be making 30K a month, and I would love to, 7-bedroom house or apartment or whatever. It's like, okay, great, but who do you need to be? It's about being
change, isn't it?
Who do you need to be able to have that? Because certain kind of person can have that. They show up. So, I call myself a life coach, but I really do performance coaching, which is just helping people get the best out of themselves, be the possibly the best version of themselves, because then life, just the opportunities just open.
Yeah. And of course, it's interesting is that, the person that's going to argue with you that it's okay is not the client that you want anyway, because it's not, you're not trying to overturn them. It's the people that know, and they sit there and they're like, I know there's more. I know that I can do it. I'm just not sure how. I need some help to get there. Or maybe I'm not quite sure. I know what it looks like on the high level, but I need some of the details and the bridges. You know, it's finding those gaps, isn't it? And then coaching to the gaps is what we do for anything, really.
So I often, no, sometimes I get, we can get trolls or whatever when I talk about, okay, it's not enough, and okay, it's fine. And I've happened to have conversation with some of those people. 99% of the time, it's never the people who are winning in life. It's always the ones who are okay.
Yeah.
And when we dig deeper into it, most of the time it turned out it's their ego protecting them from admitting is that, yeah, okay, it's not enough. I'm not entirely happy with what I have. But because if they admitted that, they would have to put in the work.
Yes, you can only change what you're aware of. If you're going to keep denying it and say it's fine. And so that's interesting that when you have those trolls or battles, that you dig into a conversation there, because there's a lot in that, isn't it? Actually talking to the person that wants to defend the okay position.
Yeah,
they actually do need you. Actually, I'm gonna rescind on that. They do need you.
Yeah, and you know what? And there are many people who say, yeah, I'm okay. I know I could be better. I'm looking at what it would take, and I don't feel it's worth it. Great, go for it. Like, then you find your sweet spot, right? And that's fine, because you can't always be like aiming for the next, and the next. You know, it would never be fulfilled
as well. And that's perhaps what some people are not prepared to make. Some sacrifices to get to a place where they see, because people that are successful, really successful, there's a lot of sacrifice in there. There's a lot of commitment. There's a lot. You can't do everything in life. So being focused and going for it can take some doing sometimes. And I think it's fair enough if people are not prepared to do that, or they say that sacrifice is a step too far for me, because I might lose my family if I keep going for this all the time. Then that's a pretty big sacrifice. Others will power on relentlessly. So this is what I want. So I think, again, it's like you said, personal choice, what people want. They set their goals, they find that, and then as coaches, we help them to get there. And I love that you have, we were talking a little bit about expertise / niching, that kind of work. And it's really great that you've developed such a simple, I think, but powerful philosophy, especially in this culture when British people love to say, yeah, it's okay. How are you? Okay. We use that a lot. I suppose the world does, but we don't really say how it is. And so it's a really good coaching inroad, because people either know it's not okay, or they want to fight it a little bit, and then maybe they can break down their own resistance. So I really like that strong but simple philosophy that you've developed. It's obviously serving you very well, and you've given some great tips in there, and I think all of us could do well to go and do our cake work. That's a good thing to do.
I like that.
and look at the analogy of seeing things in a different way. That's why I like that, because it makes it more powerful. You then can start to visualize, actually, do I want the icing on my cake? Yes, I do.
Yeah, and I would, running with the analogy, I think it's really important for people to sit down and think about what's actually the icing that I would want. What would make me feel like a winner in life? There will be a combination of things. As you were saying, we can't have it all. We only have 24 hours in a day, and there are some limitations. And so I think with Simon, he spoke about it the other day on the podcast, and I think it's so important to figure out what's the life or lifestyle that people would want to have. And most of the time people think, oh, how could I achieve that? And the dreams they have, it's not that crazy. It's not that out of ordinary. Many people have that. Sometimes it's, living, like having a business where they can travel, or different lifestyles. And I say, well, look around. Like, people do have that. It means it's possible.
It's often positioned as a dream, though. That's what strikes me. It's often positioned as a dream. Follow your dreams. You can have your dream business, create the life you could only dream of. And there's a lot of messages that come into our minds over the years that may, you know, subconsciously programmed that that's just a dream. Only certain people
Yeah.
can have that. Those different special dream catchers, you know, they can have it. But it's not true, because you look at what people have done, and a lot of people that will then get really successful say, I can't believe I've done that. I just can't believe that's me. I can't believe I've created. I never thought I could do it. Okay, it's what some of my clients said. I never thought I could do it. I never believed I would do this. So it is a self-belief thing as well, the confidence. And
Totally.
a coach will help to drag you out of that circle, that comfortable sofa spot, you know, the middle cake, and drag you over and help you to create your icing, make your icing, and put it on the cake and live it, and, you know, be it. And I think I really like the way that you draw in the experience as well, the how you feel, because so many times people so successful in life, take just for the extreme major celebrities, people with tons of money, fame, miserable, and you're like, you know, surely you're famous, you're rich, you've got this, you've got that, you're good looking, you've got no problems, and we see it, you know, we see it get played out in the tabloids, poor people's lives just shown to us. But you know, such a misalignment there. So the feeling part, how do you want to feel when you've got that? That's the anchor there, because otherwise they get it and go, don't feel any different, still feel a bit crap.
That's the thing. That's yeah. I've written an article some time ago. It's about fears of success, right? And debunk most of them. But one of the, I believe, one real fear of success is that people are afraid, because, you know, they're not happy and they dream about some kind of success. And if I had this and if I had that, if I was the kind of person, but they don't take any action. And one of the fears I believe is real is them being afraid of actually achieving that and still being miserable. And this is what happens sometimes, you know, with these celebrities. Like it must feel awful when on the surface you have everything everyone else is dreaming about, all the money, all the fame, all the spotlight, whatever that might be, and you're not unhappy. So you are not happy.
And that feeling, that word empty comes to me, like that, to feel empty like that. Well, I would never want to feel like that.
You know, I call it winning in the wrong game.
Yeah, interesting.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Winning in the wrong game. And that's interesting as well. It leads on to a whole other thing there, but about people doing, again, just referring to Simon, you know, having a purpose around what you're doing, not just what you're expected to do or what you've always done or what your parents thought you should do and, you know, your boss thought you should do. Because often people that have trodden that path and got to success through that route cannot be happy because they haven't made their own decisions along the way. So yeah, it's been successful and they've got these great careers or celebrities, whatever they are. But did they drive it there? Or was that, you know, part of the path that they were sort of pushed along really, or expected to go along? So there's so much to unpack in there, you know, there's so much that will help us all, you know, whatever our cakes look like, will help us to become empowered and free ourselves. Because you said about that fear being real. It's real for them, but it's not real, is it? It's not, nothing's real. It's real for them. So how do you sort of shift that? And that's the beauty of all the tools that we have as coaches. And you obviously do an incredibly good job, because every time I speak to you, you're super busy there in your lovely spot in Canary Wharf. So thank you for all your insights. Is there anything else that you want to add before we wrap up that you haven't, or that we haven't talked about?
No, I would just say, you know, if people want to learn more about this and know more about this, I have scorecards that people can take on my website. There are reports and a ton of tools that people can download.
When we posted this, just put that in the links, and then anybody that wants to jump on and do that would be great. I'll probably do that.
I'm not selling anything. I'm just, they're free resources. People can go and download it, check it out, and learn more about it if they're interested in that. There's a whole article with, you know, about why okay is not enough. And yeah, if they want to learn more, they can check out my website as well. Yeah, but hey, it's been absolute pleasure. I'm sure we could talk for hours.
I'm going to do my, I mean, obviously as a coach, I'm always working on stuff like that. You know, it's a constant piece of work for us, not just because, you know, we've got a business and we're coaches, but we always need to be doing that same thing. We're humans first, right? So we've got to be looking at what's okay, what's not okay. And I love different ways to get to the same result. So I'm going to do I shall do my cake, and I suggest all of
Do
you
your cake, absolutely, yeah.
Have your cake and eat it.
I love what you're saying, cake work.
Yeah,
That's
cake
really good.
work. Yeah, brilliant. See, a new
Real
concept.
cake work.
But thank you so much, and
It's been a pleasure.
I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. And I'm pretty sure we'll be speaking again soon, because you and I are going to do a podcast. You're going to be a guest on the Coach podcast, which will be lovely. So we'll sort that out. And in the meantime, thanks to everyone for listening. If you've made it to the end, well done. You'll have got all the gems that he had to offer.
Yeah, thank you for listening. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate that, and it's been great.
It's been fun. All right, Thomas, thank you so much. Take care of yourself.
Take care.
Bye. Bye now. Bye-bye.